And before we continue, of course, I'd now like to recognize my friend and our ranking member, Mr. McCaul of Texas, for his remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for holding this markup. I'm glad we could work together on this. And I'm supportive of all the measures we'll be considering here today, including my resolution of inquiry related to Afghanistan and Ranking Member Fox's resolution of inquiry related to Iran. But I'll talk about those in a minute. As someone from an agriculture state myself, I'm proud to be an original co-sponsor of the Global Food Security Act, along with you, Mr. Chairman, and Representatives McCollum and Chris Smith. COVID-19 and unprecedented droughts have already strained global food supply chains, and now Putin's unprovoked and full-scale invasion of Ukraine is yet another nail in the coffin. Globally, 50 million people across 45 countries are on the brink of famine. In Somalia, we are days away from an official famine declaration. Today, over 300,000 children are facing emergency starvation. And amidst this global crisis, we cannot lose focus on longer-term investments in food security and agriculture-led economic growth. Ultimately, this bill builds the capacities of families and communities to provide for themselves. Combating the global food crisis must be a priority for Congress and this administration. I hope the House will quickly advance this legislation, and I also want to thank Senators Risch and Casey for their leadership on this issue in the Senate. I'm also pleased to support my friend, Mr. Cire's bill, and we're going to miss you. Sir, it's been a real honor to serve in Congress with you and on this committee. Your bill directs the State Department to support a 2-year extension of the international fact-finding mission in Venezuela, which is very important to me as well, as I have several constituents still in a prison in Venezuela. Since it was established in 2019, this mission has uncovered systematic crimes against humanity being committed by the Maduro regime. The mission was also the first independent organization that found the Venezuelan regime was wrongfully detaining, as I mentioned, foreign nationals to extract concessions, including Americans. Right now, at least 11 Americans are being wrongfully detained by the criminal Maduro regime, again, some of whom are my constituents. Last week, Matt Heath, an American and Marine, marked 2 years as a hostage of Nicolas Maduro. I take my obligation to these Americans seriously and implore the State Department to work with Congress to please get them home. And I want to thank you, sir, for introducing that bill. And lastly, I'm a co-sponsor of Mr. Sherman's Peace and Tolerance in Palestinian Education Act. Before I yield back, I also want to congratulate the brave Ukraine fighters as they take back more of their land in this most impressive counteroffensive. To me, it's a game changer, what we're seeing take place. And we need to continue to get these weapons in, and particularly the long-range artillery that's helping them win this fight. I'm getting firsthand accounts of Russians literally running and fleeing from the Ukrainians, some taking their uniforms off as they run into the woods. It's been quite a change since you and I were down in Poland on the Ukraine border, and for the better. And as someone who values freedom and democracy, I know you do, Mr. Chairman, we need to do everything we can to help them win this war. And so with that, I yield back.